Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining us here. Really excited about this conversation on the AI and local government network. Have two really fun guests with us today, Aaron Roz and Brian Morris. I think we're going to learn a lot from these two individuals, how they're using it, and different areas too, talking about procurement and then also on the code enforcement side. So it should be a lot of fun, really value added, I hope, for all of us here. And obviously, we'll have time to hopefully take some questions and answers at the end with these two individuals. Feel free to put anything in the chat. I'll be monitoring that as the gentlemen are speaking. Also, want to give a quick thank you and shout out to our sponsors. Our silver sponsors for today's webinar or meeting is Civic AI, as well as Clerk Minutes, and a new sponsor, Third Line. So Third Line does a lot of work within the budget management and procurement management space, and using technology to help accentuate what we're doing there and how we can be more effective and proactive with our budget management tools. So really excited to have them on board. And of course, huge shout out to today's silver sponsor, MJ Ventures, and we'll hear from them in just a second here as from Marley Rosario and the team there. So just a quick overview of why we do this here, or before we go into that too, if you are a company that wants to sponsor this, tell other local governments what you're working on, and talk to local governments. Here's some opportunities for sponsorship. Most importantly, I want to hear from you all in terms of how you all are using AI, the ways that you're applying AI on the ground in real world situations. There's a lot of talk right now about the potential of AI. And I think we've kind of moved past potential phase and into application phase. So I want to hear from folks like you. How are you using AI? What are the strategies you're deploying to use it? It can be something massive, it can be something small, doesn't matter, right? Anything that we can learn from each other is going to be value added to us. So if you're interested in sharing, please take time to fill out this form, this QR code right here. Would love to hear your thoughts on how you're doing that. And again, I want to remind us of why we're here every single week. It might be somewhat, redundant, but I think it's important of why we come together once a month and chat together. And really, it's all about fostering collaboration, sharing knowledge, and spurring innovation. That's what we're here to do together. So hopefully, we can meet these goals each and every week. And one way we do that is by providing opportunities for people like yourself to talk and to share, and providing opportunities for companies to share what they're doing. That way we can foster that collaboration, share knowledge, and spur innovation. So with that in mind, here's our schedule for coming up first Monday of the month at 11:30 local time for here in Phoenix. And with that in mind now, I want to introduce Marley Rosario. I've had the privilege and pleasure of getting to know Marley over the last couple months here. Phenomenal guy. Excited to have him share some things about MJ Ventures. Marley, I'm going to stop my screen share here and let you take things away. So excited to have you, Marley.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm excited to be here. Ever since Micah introduced me to sort of the world of local government and whatnot, I've been really excited to get the opportunity to speak with everybody and let everybody know what we're up to at MJ Ventures. So, without further ado, a little bit of background about myself. I'm the CEO at MJ Ventures, where we build custom AI agents for everyone. Before this, I was the CTO at an agency that brought influencer marketing to the world of government and politics. And yeah, I've been, really involved in, my background is both as trying to figure out how to bring data science and computer science to the world of public policy and electoral campaigning. And, I guess I started off with MJ Ventures by, really trying to figure out like how to bridge the gap between some of these advocacy spaces, these political spaces, and now more and more these local government spaces into the world of AI. At first it was, right, we think of AI, right, as really like generative AI nowadays. That's like kind of like the last 12 to 18 months, what that term has really meant. But before then it was, really like hooking folks up with tools that allowed them to do predictive analytics, machine learning, data science. And now it's really evolved into this, this world where we're really building, entire AI workflows and agents for folks. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and just talk through, like I said. So, really simply, we build AI agents for folks. And the reason that has taken a large sort of like importance nowadays for a lot of organizations is because folks, especially in local government, but across industries, small businesses, startups, marketing agencies, nonprofits, they're sitting on ginormous, vast amounts of data. And data in this new sort of like AI-centric world is the oil of this sort of like new economy that's, that we're starting to see come into fruition, and that you guys are all sort of like as innovators are really spearheading. And, with the power of generative AI and the workflows that are accessible now, not leveraging that data for the pursuit of, of automation and sort of like enabling your organization with AI. And we'll get into exactly what that means in a second. You're losing a lot of value. You're losing a lot of opportunity to both make yourself more efficient, but also make your organization, your company more efficient. And so we're going to get into some of the examples that we've done with organizations like the University of Oregon, organizations like all types of marketing agencies based in DC, New York, and Chicago, and talk through like, what we've done for folks. The cool thing about it is now that some of these tools have become sort of more widely available over the last really 6 to 12 months, the craziest thing is that it's really lowered the cost to entry. And so MJ Ventures really is specialized in providing 3 types of products for folks. That looks like basically custom GPTs. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with custom GPTs, right? Those are basic AI chatbots that exist on OpenAI's platform. We've been able to provide those for dozens of organizations across startups, small businesses, and more, a lot of like local government professionals. Then we move up to what are called Streamlit, minimal lovable products. No, that's a mouthful to say, and we're going to demo a few Streamlit products. These are basically custom AI agents that enable you to automate a specific type of workflow or service. We're going to show you some of the custom AI agents that we built for clients that allow them to do automated marketing research, that allow them to do extraction of social media data for both emails, hashtags, posts, so that they can follow the online discourse. We're going to show some examples like that, and then we'll even send you guys some examples of ones that we built for some local governments in and around the country. And then obviously, with anything in tech, right, it can get as robust as you need, and we offer even a service that allows folks to access custom generative AI solutions and work and software. And so we're a small team of 5 developers that have come to, we're young developers who are hungry, and we're trying to help folks, especially in the advocacy and folks that are, really mission oriented, access AI in an affordable, easy to use, and ultimately quick way. Because now that these tools have become really, really accessible, folks can access them, can really take advantage of them in ways that wasn't possible before. And so what I'm going to go ahead and show on my screen here is a bot that we built for a company based in DC, a marketing company. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to add to this bot. This is a marketing AI agent that automates the process of doing research online on behalf of a marketing agency. So all I'm going to do here is I'm saying, I want to build a campaign for the Everglades Foundation. And then I'm going to go ahead and stick the link to the Everglades Foundation's website there. This is just a random nonprofit that I picked up off of Google. We're going to build them a marketing campaign. First, what it's doing is it's preparing a research scope. So it's scraping the website, the Evergrades Foundation website, and scraping is a process behind how an AI agent can access data from that website. It's accessing that data, and it's asking some general questions that it can start to generate sources for to really create a research base. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to click generate sources. This agent's going through, and it's going to start going, and it has access to Google to be able to find and identify sources online. As you can see, it started to pull up sources. And really, this tool, we've been able to, pioneer this tool. This tool has worked for a marketing agency in DC for about a month and a half now, and it's starting to really automate the process behind how they come up with ideas for creative campaigns. Obviously, I know most of you all aren't marketing professionals, so I thought a better use case would be this internal platform that we built called Sif Social. So Sif Social is an AI agent that we built. It's the world's first conversational social media agent. And what that means is this agent here has access to all types of social media platforms, right now specifically TikTok and Instagram, and it can search data on these platforms, and you can begin to ask questions about that data, quantitative and qualitative questions about that data, to figure out what's going on in the social media landscape. So one thing I'm going to ask them, I'm going to start scraping the hashtag Chicago and see what comes up. I'm going to scrape about 100 posts off of Instagram for the hashtag Chicago. See what comes up. It'll take about a couple seconds to run here. I found a little bit more, so about 114. We'll see it in a couple seconds. And as you can see, boom. So I found this scraper found about 100 posts from the hashtag Chicago. And, it's showing me some of the posts that it found, right? It's showing me some of the metrics. Let's say, what are the average amounts of comments on this post? Or I guess this hashtag is what I should ask. And I'll throw one of the example, once it's done running here, I'll throw one of the example posts in here. So yeah, these are some of the AI agents that we've been able to build for organizations across the country. I think the cool thing about this, and one of the funnest, most enjoyable parts about our jobs, is getting to bring folks' reality, like, hey, what are we doing with AI? What are we, what are we investing into? What are we able to access with these AI tools, and helping them really bring it to life? So if you want to get a private demo of some of these tools, just, totally shoot me an email or send me a direct message in the Zoom link today. I'm happy to schedule something. And yeah, we can even potentially, help work with your guys' organizations to develop AI agents for your guys' teams and organizations. So yeah, without, I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time. So thank you guys all for letting us show you guys, and we'll definitely send the deck around after today's meeting.
Marley, thanks so much for doing that. Couple quick questions, or a comment and a question for you. When it comes to Sif Social and the capabilities there, I think of this particularly along the lines of things like event management, and be able to see what's going on with your event or things like that, especially if you have a unique hashtag you're using or things like that. So it'd be a very, very powerful tool. What type of, can you give us a sense of what type of model you're running this on, or anything like that? Or as you build this out for individual cities, what are the ways to make sure that it's accurate, not producing, and kind of the accuracy of the information as well too?
Yeah, for sure. So a couple of things. One is that we are using an open source model called Bamboo LLM. So it's a model developed by a team, an open source team, that created the platform called Pandas AI. So Pandas AI is a new open source innovation that came about, honestly, within the last 5 to 6 months. I'll throw it in the chat here. And they've developed an open source LLM that is basically, the best way to think about it is that it's a LLM proficient at executing and writing code necessary to do data analytics. And so we've integrated with that LLM into Sif Social. We've layered that LLM on top of the agent that we built that has access to the social media websites, and that's just an OpenAI GPT assistant. And yeah, we find that it's produced relatively, obviously, with as anything in sort of generative AI nowadays, it can always be improved and sort of continually fine-tuned and trained. But we've been able to see really, really great success with the ventures that have joined the platform so far. I think one of the cool things about it is that we've really experimented with this in the commercial and the private sector to date, and they've been able to see and reduce their cost of monitoring social media and social media hashtags by like, probably like at least by 50%. Because one, the platform is using AI, so you're leveraging automation and efficiency through that mechanism. But secondary to that is that the cost to access the data, because you're using AI to filter out all that nonsense, is actually way cheaper than some of these social media intelligence platforms that exist out there in the market. And then also the third thing is that the platform you saw, Micah, it was straight to the point. I don't think it had a lot of flutter, and it didn't have a lot of like features that folks don't need. I feel that a lot of the traditional software tools, especially ones that are sold to local governments, are stuffed with all these features that folks don't really need. And what you guys all really need is the ability to access this data and talk to it in a conversational way, and just be able to get insights and develop sort of like your own custom workflows. And because of the sort of like the efficiencies that AI has been able to yield, and all the tooling that has been created over the last 5 months, it's driven the cost down of these platforms such that using Civ Social is a relatively like a low, like high 3-digit to low 4-digit figure investment. So yeah, that's what I think the really compelling thing about Civ Social, and the model that we have layered onto it, I think is really powerful and secure. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, Marley. Thank you so much, and feel free to ping Marley directly. After this, we'll send out his contact information to everyone here. That way, we all have access to it too. You can reach out to Marley, and to your point too, right? Having things actually make sense as opposed to all the fluff that we get in a lot of applications. Exactly. So I want to next welcome Aaron Roz to our meeting here. Aaron has an extensive background in procurement and contract management, having worked in places like the state of Colorado, with the Attorney General's office out there, with the city of Denver, and most recently now with the city of Westminster, Colorado. So, Aaron, welcome. Thank you so much for taking time to share with us what you're working on and your perspectives on AI, especially relates to procurement. So, I'm going to stop my screen share here, Aaron, and let you take things away.
All right. Well, thank you, Micah, for the opportunity. I'm very excited to have a national audience for the first time ever. So 2 years ago, the city of Westminster, seventh largest city in Colorado, decided to, for the first time, go to a centralized procurement model. Coming from the state of Colorado and Denver, I was not aware that there are cities or municipalities that do not have centralized procurement in the government. And since attending NIGP and other procurement functions, learning that there are more and more. So being a large, well, medium city, but larger for Colorado, when they established this position, they didn't really understand what procurement was. So the staffing was a team of 3, including myself, an analyst who had no background in government procurement, but is learning amazingly well, and a contract and grant administrator, since I've added a senior procurement analyst to that. But clearly I was getting buried in the tasks, obviously, emails, requests, without any kind of infrastructure, an ERP system that does not have a procurement module or requisitioning involved in it, and then policies that needed to be established, trainings, so on. So you come to grips with the fact that it's not about having the resources, which I think everybody in government knows we're usually going to be shorthanded in that, but it's being resourceful. So playing around with AI has really been something that has crossed over. I'm always fascinated and have been with technology. I started using AI really on a personal level, for things that really entertained me. If also vacations, research for buying my car. I think everybody on this call who's used ChatGPT has found that instead of digging through a vast amount of Google searches and pages that had a lot of fluff, and you had to really mine through the content, chat really gives you that opportunity to pinpoint what it is you need. So I started using it just for the things that I really didn't have much time. Also, as many of us do in procurement, if not government all together, is we steal shamelessly. So the policies I've helped, we'll just say massage over the years. I don't know if any idea I've ever had was original of the teams I worked with. But as we've updated some of our policies and procedures from the state, and then Denver, I brought over a lot of that. The city has allowed me an opportunity to grow procurement here in a way that I think is efficient, effective, responsible, ethical, without also getting tied down by some of the bureaucracy. I think established procurement or larger cities and states may have already. So it was really nice to start using some of these LMs to really, and now I'm using, ChatGPT 4.0, Copilot. I haven't played with Google yet. I know they're coming out with their platform. So really allowing myself to take all of these documents that I've acquired or have redundancies in a lot of times, drop that in and really put out a product to the point of what I'm trying to get to. The other thing is with that, and I think we all know, is we've become more of a content creator, which AI is now doing for us, which computers haven't been able to do in the past, to becoming more of a supervisor to that system, right, of what's coming out. Is it accurate? Is it understandable? So I think playing with the products, even on an individual basis for what you exactly want, is really a key to getting what you want out of using it in a government capacity, especially when you're communicating to different groups. When I'm sending it to my city attorney to review, when I'm sending it to my parks and rec team, when I'm sending something to my engineers, to the admins, to have the ability to rewrite the same data in a manner that really connects to those individuals has also been a tremendous time saver. I think over time, when I first started here in 22, and not having those tools to really help me, I got a lot of feedback of people still not understanding. And once I brought AI into it and said, hey, explain this at a very elementary level to an engineer or to whatever, really getting great results and feedback. And then working with my team with the ideas that I have corrected and modified more to what I think is appropriate for our city, and then collaborating with a much more focused and refined policy or so on. Couple of examples, and I think the big thing that has been a challenge before I get into these examples is I found that here, a lot of the success in procurement or launching procurement, if anything, it's really learning from all the failures, if you will, if there is such a thing. But from the experience of what was not working, it's really a lot of this is change management more than it is any kind of brilliance or knowledge of procurement. It's having people understand the importance of it, the philosophy behind it, and the benefit of it. And I think growing AI or us being effective with AI is more than just our team or me individually, is, showing the entire city, hey, what if I gave you an admin who can do all this repetitive, redundant, or even tedious processing at times, help, and then you can focus really on your area of expertise and growing that and evolving your position into new areas. So, with the arguments that I'm getting of, well, AI wants to take our jobs, I don't think it can. I think we can all agree with that, but it will evolve our position, what we do, how we do it. I think there will be a certain level of attrition when someone leaves. Is a position a 40-hour position anymore? Or do you move into more of a supervisory role, where you're educating and supervising, if you will, this AI technology that can help us? So a lot of what I'm doing is really reaching out and showing the benefit to my team and to others, and really being empathetic to the challenges they have for change. I've already asked them to change for procurement, and now you're asking them to change everything they know about their life to accommodate AI. So with that, I'm going to share my screen. I'm sorry I don't have a cool slideshow to share, but some of the benefits that I do have. We started using a program called Beacon, and please let me know if the wrong screen is being shared right now. And Beacon Bid has really come around. I follow these guys for a couple of years now. The ability for my team, or even to sit with a PM as we do a major project that anyone who's done an ERP system in the past knows just how long and how difficult that can be. But now there's a platform out there that will allow us to search basically solicitations, everything from federal, state, local governments, and produce just the pages that reference what it is you're looking at. So no more seeking through 10 attachments and however many pages. You can really get down to that. And then they have a new RFP Critic, which wasn't available in the past. And what this does is really, just like ChatGPT, can help you generate a scope based on all of the different, in this case, RFPs you really would like. Really need to hand something like that to one of your engineers who isn't sure how to write a scope or even know where to begin for requirements, and just teach them like you would ChatGPT, and say, take what you need out of it, make sure it's accurate, make sure it applies to our city. And now I'm going to go over to chat and just some of the things that I think are pretty neat in getting people on board. One of the things I did, I had friends who were trying to find a place to go visit in France. I just happened to be in France. So you put in the prompt of, where's the best place to rent an Airbnb in southern France for non-smokers, has good public transportation, yet quiet. I really started replacing Google for these reasons. So you get very accurate, very concise responses. My friends already heard about number 2. So I just basically asked, tell me more about why you recommended it. And it kind of expands. I've done this for shopping for a car. I've done this for anything you can imagine you can use this for. The other thing that I think was pretty neat, I was showing my brother how to use this. He's a contractor, and he's figuring out how to use or how to do more effective proposals on jobs because he can't really compete with the big companies that may, have subs that are just rushing through their work. So they have a great proposal, not so much on the work. So I showed him how to use this, and I think this example applies for how we use it, again, communicating to different groups. And then I think with AI, we just need to always be curious. We always need to think of what if, because if we can imagine it, we know it's coming at some point that we can create it. So this one, I just kind of was joking around and showing him how AI was, and told it, draft an apology to my wife. We thought those two would be really entertained by this, for being 2 hours late to dinner, expressing their appreciation for the cooking. And it gave a really cool output in obviously seconds, as we all know. You're going to change it according to how you actually speak. But then I went in and just showed them that, again, within seconds, you can rewrite it in the style of Ernest Hemingway or Shakespeare. It's pretty interesting. They are up in New England, so I did it as a Gloucester fisherman, and then a Southie down in Boston who, this thing even puts in wicked late, right? Really interesting things that you can do. Again, how do you communicate with your different groups? The other thing with, again, policies, drop in our information, drop in our city code, and just ask for, can you update an emergency policy and expand on the process, expand on what may or may not be a qualified emergency. And it does this within, seconds, where obviously we know just how effective it can be. The other thing, and we just posted a position for a procurement specialist. So I got about 8 examples from my HR representative on what other cities are using for specialists. Dropped all of it into chat and asked it to produce, actually it's down here, to produce a job description based on the fact that we don't do contract management in this position. It won't be doing complex solicitations, some of the things we just don't do here, but then some of the other functions that we will be adding. And it literally took all 8 of them, put them together quickly, gave me a great output. Again, went through it, tweaked a few things that I think were really great for us. And then in the staff questions, I started putting together some questions for in-person and phone screens based on the job title and some of the things we want. I use this to help my senior grant coordinator who is applying for another job. We always want to encourage and support our team to grow. It was a great opportunity for them. They were a little weary based on other opportunities they took in the past. And I asked her to send me the job description and a resume. We loaded it in and asked for 5 talking points for her interview. And she got a call back before she even got home that they wanted to meet her again. And that next one, she got the position. So the question comes up with, what if our end user or our applicants are using AI? What do we do to show that we're using AI? I really hope that my applicants are using AI. In fact, I added something in the questions that took out some of the specific. They had questions if we use a specific technology here at the city, Monday.com being one great program. I don't care if they know how to use Monday.com. I can teach them that. What I did ask is their comfort with new innovative technology, specifically AI. I want to know, can they use these tools? But regardless of how great they make their resume, some of the questions that I asked for it to for interview questions saying, can you walk us through a procurement process that you've been involved with, highlighting your role and contributions? Also, there's a really neat one. I think it's down here. Where is it? Can you share your understanding of the role of procurement within an organization and its significance in achieving organizational objectives? The thing I'm finding, and obviously as you start asking these questions and you get more familiar with teaching AI how your intentions and what you're wanting, no matter what they put through to make a resume look good, you can work on getting questions like this that in an interview, they really need to prove that they can walk the talk. And that's really neat. So we need to stay ahead of it. So these are just practical applications that I show my staff and how I use it for policy and other things like that. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second because there's no need for that. Again, I think we all use it. I think we just need to be creative. Always think what if and how do we stay ahead of the game. So a couple of months ago, I went to a NVIDIA conference in California, all on AI, amazing presenters. And I got to meet some amazing CEOs out there and innovators. And I think a lot of us on this call may already know, maybe you don't. We can create, any one of us, with our face, our voice, our mannerisms, completely generated in AI. Imagine if a candidate looked on their game every time they spoke. They were very clear and concise, based on the PDF that their staff drafted up for them for their speech, handed over to an AI company that can basically put them on TV and it looks just like them giving this amazing speech. What happens when, we can be on international conference calls and I'm speaking to you in English from this side and you're hearing me in my voice in Japanese, or Arabic or French or Mandarin all at the same time. This is where technology is going. The concerns with that, again, from the government perspective, and I know every year, I'm sure you all do the same in your organizations, we have our IT training, and then of course, HR requirements and other compliance that we may have. But what happens when, that social engineering that we're trained to read in an email that seems off, or the spelling might be off, or the domain name looks off? But what happens when your boss calls you on a Teams meeting and asks for a very confidential file? I had this conversation with my city attorney when I got back, which is why I'm bringing this up. So what happens when a case file is dropped in to who we thought was our boss? What happens when we're discussing conversations over the internet that may be recorded that has confidential information? These are things we need to consider. And in procurement, even though people think of us as just buying things, we really need to have our finger on the pulse of what is capable out there so our policies can have that. the flip side is, are we buying things that consider AI for the possibilities? Because now we have software speaking to software. It's no longer siloed, right? You had Apple and you had Microsoft, and they weren't communicating, but now technology is doing that. I just learned there's a Blackwell chip and GPO just invented that is transferring data beyond what we thought physics can do. It is transferring data at basically the rate of the entire information base of the internet within 1 second, within the two sides of the chip. So the data is growing at such a rate that we at least need to be aware of what this is capable of, and really stay ahead of it, because in the government, as we know, we're not usually ahead of the game. If anything, we're really lagging, but we need to partner. There's amazing things happening with traffic control, and what it's predicting and how it interacts with cars, and how our first responders can get to a site and manipulate traffic and traffic controls along the way. So I really think we need to be, if nothing else, aware of what's out there so we're prepared. We can't keep our heads in the sand whether we want to or not. We have to face this. This is what, the fifth, sixth industrial revolution. It's something we've never experienced, but growing at a rate that if you don't get on the merry-go-round now, it'll just be spinning too fast. So without me rambling anymore, I don't want to take up too much time, but I hope some of these ideas are useful. And one other thing to add, and I should have on the resume part or any of the other communications, when I've drafted up stuff and people are like, wow, thanks for the fast response, this is amazing. Put on the bottom, lean into it. Put on the bottom, hey, generated with AI, ask me how, right? Just own it. I think there's a value add of knowing, of people knowing you have a comfort level with AI, because it's pretty frightening for a lot of people, especially if you watch The Matrix.
Aaron,
Thank you.
Thanks so much. That was fascinating and really cool how you're using it within Westminster, some of the practical ways that you're leveraging AI there. Really, really incredible. And I've seen people add the generated with AI kind of tagline. I've never seen someone do ask me how. That is just a really, really cool and easy thing we can add to there. So thank you so much. We'll share your contact information out in case anybody else wants to ping you and pick your brain and things too. But thanks for spending some time with us today. Really appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
I want to next introduce us all to Brian Morris. Brian Morris is the Assistant Director of Code over at the City of Dallas and has an extensive background in code enforcement. Really looking forward to having him share here. And I'm going to stop my screen share here, Brian, and have you take things away. So excited to learn from you. I think you might still be muted there. There we go. We're still muted here, Brian.
All right. Tech problems. How you guys doing?
There we go. We had a little bit of echo, but we should be good to go.
Okay. All right. Hopefully that corrected it. Nope. All right. Sorry about that, guys.
No worries.
How you doing, Micah?
Good. Excited to have you join us here. So take things away.
Excited to be here. Little tech issues. But hey, Brian Morris, AD with Dallas Code, and happy to be here. Just want to, Araz hit quite a few excellent points when it comes to the use of AI in local government. And I echo a lot of those sentiments. And I'm a little bit on the, I'll say I'm newer to this process, but just jump right into it in the past 6 months or so, maybe the past year, and just looking at ways that we can be efficient in government. Efficiency is not the calling card of government, as many of you know, and this is just a way for us. I feel like this is the new revolution, as Araz mentioned, in that if you don't understand how to utilize it effectively, we'll be left behind. And it's just been a huge multiplier for us, a huge force multiplier for us. And so, and a big leap in my understanding came from Micah's course, had Civic AI, and I introduced that to our executive team, and they have just jumped right into it here in the city of Dallas. And with the city this large and with the responsibility so heavy, we're always looking at ways to minimize personnel needs. How can we, instead of adding another 5 or 10 employees, can some of these tasks be done? Can they be automated? Can we use efficiency measures to do that? And that's what that's what AI has been doing for us. So I'll just briefly go through a couple of ways that I've utilized it. Again, I'm just at the very tip of the iceberg, but I'm finding it fascinating. One thing is we've just reached out and partnered with some folks doing some cool stuff. One of which is utilizing AI cameras installed on vehicles. And what they do is they will peruse the neighborhoods. We have large area to cover 387 square miles, and it takes note of every single house, every single parcel in the city, and it matches that data. The camera is intelligent enough to match that data with the tax assessor records, and it compiles a list, sends that list to the cloud, and we're able to have a comprehensive list of all violations. It currently can, and we're still in the experimental stages with this, but it can identify over 100 violations, from tall grass and weeds, from structural damage, roof damage, chip paint, trash and debris, and just many other violations. Anything that the human eye can see, it can detect and categorize, and you can use that information for many, many purposes, whether it's applying for community development block grants, where you're identifying blighted areas, or you're just generating violations, or just compiling knowledge and seeing where more emphasis needs to be. So you can strategize code enforcement policies based on where the need is. And of course, you can break that down by council district, zoning, commissioner district, however that needs to be used. So it's just, to borrow the quote I just heard, is that from Marley, data is the oil, right? So it's what do we do with that, collecting all this data? How do we then turn that as usable and most efficient? So that was a key phrase I just picked up, and I'm going to utilize that, Marley, with your permission. Another thing, so that's something we're very excited about, very cool. Another one is, dealing with ordinances that are complex and involve a lot of legalese. It takes time if you're trying to identify best practices. You're trying to introduce a new ordinance. In the past, I've had to go to different jurisdictions and just pick and choose and read what they're doing for short-term rental ordinance, per se, and going through, figuring out what the best practices are. Whereas utilizing generative AI as a tool to view all of those and analyze them, breaking down some of the best practices, saves tons of time, and able to put it in layman's terms so that it's not, just confusing to the common ear. You can really break it down and see what it's actually saying, and draft your ordinance in accordance with that. City attorneys are busy and expensive. So the time that we can save and the money that we can save, whether they're in-house or you pay them contractually, by starting that ordinance out and having a good base of how your ordinance are structured, and just inputting that data that you may have gathered from the rest of the 50 states is a very, very useful tool that we've utilized over and over again just in our processes. Thirdly, proposals, putting things together for council, putting something on the agenda, putting reports together that summarize complex information. I'll give you an example of a grant that we're currently pursuing now. And just by instructing AI to do chat GPT to do what you given specific instructions, this is the grant we're applying for. These are the reasons that we qualify for it. This is why we are best suited to achieve it. This is what we've already done. Please draft an ordinance with the following information in mind. Or please draft a grant proposal, with the following information in mind. And just allowing it to spit that out. I can't say the amount of time that I've gained from just using those simple tools for generating proposals, drafts, memos, and even grant proposals, just to help us increase efficiency. So as we just move forward with this, I look forward to learning a lot more. Look forward to learning a lot more about this tool that we have. And I encourage anybody I come in contact with to either use it or you're going to get left behind. We have to learn to master this and become proficient in it. And I'm saying this from a non-tech guy. I'm proficient, but I'm not a early adopter of many tech ideas. But just the thought and the ideas behind this generative AI is something that I recognize that has to be captured, has to be exploited for use and using it ethically. And that's where, we run into some roadblocks with our IT department and with internal concerns about opening up ourselves to the possible pitfalls. And so that's something that we're working around as a city. And I'm sure many of you may be dealing with that as well. How do we do this ethically? And then how do we do it safely to make sure that we're not compromising our information by doing so? And I will just say just one very, very last point before I kind of turn it back over to you, Micah, is we're also using it for internally, just an internal generative AI where we can input all of our ordinances, all of our work instructions, all of our SOPs. And that way we really document everything. We have a staff of a few hundred, 500. And sometimes it's hard to find what document we use what's our work instruction? What's our SOP for this process? What's our sick leave? What's our COVID leave? We have all these documentations, but where do you find it? And so we're going to create an internal mechanism where we can search that and be able to easily come up with those documents, those SOPs, those ordinances, and be able to use it quickly and access it quickly. So, man, we're excited. In a nutshell, we're very excited. And again, Micah, thank you for having me on to just express a little bit about what we do, what we're working on.
Brian, that's incredible. I might need to have you on a second time just to go and unpack more of what you're doing with the kind of the automated violation procedure there. So curious, as this camera identifies violations, what is your process for including the human in the loop idea too? I'm guessing not going to take the video and then just generate a bunch of citation letters. You're reviewing that. So walk us through that as well too, about how you're combining the role of your other code enforcement officers, those in your team, as well as the data you're getting from these vehicles.
Yep, sure. So we're just beginning that process, but our original thought now is that we are going to review each and every one and primarily utilize it as an educational tool first. We're going to rub that data against violations that we already have in the system. And let's say we get, 20,000 violations, which I'm sure we'll get. We may just start with courtesy notices saying, hey, we had a violation was noticed in your neighborhood, and this is what we're seeing. We'd like to give you an opportunity to correct it. We're just letting you know. And then find a system, kind of a particular system that will follow up on that because these will be weekly routes. We're going to attach vehicles, attach the cameras to sanitation trucks. So it'll be a weekly route. We'll be able to monitor the length of time that violation existed. And from there, it'll just be sorting out our process as far as who do we immediately go to issue a notice of violation, who do we offer resources and help to, some community programs that we also have. And so we're going to take different approaches to handle those cases differently. So right now we're just collecting the data, and then we're going to cipher that out into individual categories and figure out what works best for which group.
That's incredible. And I hope people walk away from these conversations, Brian, with yourself and Aaron, with you as well, to know that, you don't, anyone can get started, right? Right now, we're all kind of on an equal playing field in terms of getting started. And it just takes these different innovative ideas like, hey, why can't we put a camera on the front of a sanitation truck and identify code violations? Or, why can't we use AI to generate procurement letters or anything like that too? So just really, really cool. Thank you, gentlemen, both for taking some time to chat with us today and share your wisdom and your insights. And again, if anyone has any questions specifically for Brian or Aaron, feel free to reach out. I'll send their contact information out to the group through their LinkedIn information there, that we all can connect with them and pick their brains. So thank you so much. Just as a follow-up here, as we kind of close things out, once again, want to thank all of our sponsors for today's meeting, to MJ Ventures, as well as to our bronze sponsors, Third Line, Clerk Minutes, and Civic AI. So thank you all. And thank you all for joining us again. Please, if you want to share what you're working on, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you and what you're working on, how you're using AI in local government. So until next time, be well, and thank you all.